Thousands of environmentalists and religious groups marched from Rome's Colosseum to St. Peter's Square in the Vatican City on Sunday. The march, held by Earth Day Network, was organized to highlight the upcoming COP21 Climate Conference in Paris. Some of those taking part wore costumes representing the Earth, the Sun and the Moon as they walked to the Vatican to attend Pope Francis Angela's prayer. The COP21 conference starts in Paris on 30th of November. Well, in Washington, D.C., the Ignatian Solidarity Network hosted a rally early Monday at the U.S. Capitol calling for social justice. To tell us more about it, I'm joined by Christopher Kerr, Executive Director, Ignatian Solidarity Network. Mr. Kerr, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you very much, Vincent.
Yeah, so first share with us a bit about your rally today, the Capitol.
We had over 1,200 folks on Capitol Hill, predominantly young people, ages 16 to 22. These are students from Catholic institutions from across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Predominantly institutions run by the Jesuit Order of Priests and Brothers, Pope Francis's religious order. And they were on Capitol Hill today preparing for legislative meetings with representatives and senators to talk about issues like climate change, U.S. immigration policy, and also many of the reasons that people are leaving the Central American region because of safety and security and coming to the United States.
Now, we know that the Pope is really big on the social justice theme. How significant is it to you, to organizations like yours, that he has put such a strong voice on this kind of call?
It's huge.
Yeah.
His voice has been so profound, so outward. It's not just his voice, but his actions. When Pope Francis talks about the plight of refugees, he goes to places like Lampedusa to do that. When he talks about the plight of the homeless, he invites homeless into the Vatican. So it's not just what he's saying, but how he's saying it, where he's saying it from, the actions he puts with his words. It's really important.
And we know that he's preparing for a trip to Africa. Hopefully he goes to Central Africa, where we know that there are some issues that may lead to a cancellation, but he'll go suddenly to Kenya and Uganda. What kind of message do you expect Pope Francis to deliver to those countries?
Well, I think he's going to deliver a message of peace, most predominantly. Certainly these are three countries that have encountered significant challenges with the violence, with disagreement, with struggle within the countries. And so I think he'll share a strong message of peace. I think he'll share a message similar to what he shared to the U.S. Congress of really inviting them into working for the common good, inviting government officials into working for the common good in those three countries. And I think he's going to talk about climate change too, because when we think about the 1 billion people in the world that are most impacted by the effects of climate change, many of them are in the continent of Africa and in those three countries. So I think, yeah.
Question I always want to ask is, do you your own assessment up to this point, do you get the sense that the major powers, the major political players are really embracing the message of the Pope?
I think they have to. And the reason why is because groups like those 1,200 young people on Capitol Hill today are coming and they're talking about why they want action on these issues using Pope Francis's name. And we see this, think of the engagement this country, and we'll see in Africa as well, of people interested in the visit, interested in what he's saying. And we saw a significant spike in interest in our work leading up to, during, and now after the visit, because I think people are seeing the connections. And again, it's because he's really not just saying things, but also putting himself in places when he says those things.
Yeah. So, compared to previous popes, do you get the sense that he connects rather differently with people?
I think Pope Francis sees his relationship to not just Catholics, but all people of the world, as a little bit different than other popes. Other popes were, maybe, not all, but others have been a little more intellectual in their approach. He's taken a very pastoral, very hands-on approach, approach of not just concepts and dogma, but contact as well, and that being with people, understanding their reality. I think this is, illustrative of a pope from a different part of the world, someone not from Europe, that has a different perspective on many of the realities, both realities of the church, but just the realities of life in different parts of the world. So yeah, it's different. Not to say that one is better than the other, but I think the approach is different, and I think it connects better with a lot of people.
Christopher, thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Well, Christopher Kerr is the Executive Director, Ignatian Solidarity Network.